All right, everybody. Sorry for the late video, but we've been dealing with a lot today. If you follow us, we had to pick Wilson up from the hospital today and transport him back home. So we had a lot going on today. So I'm just getting to the video, and I apologize for that. So update on Bailey. First, I want to start with thanking the public. You guys have been amazing. There's a lot of ground to cover here, and we couldn't do it without you. I'm going to talk about a lot in this video and try to cram a lot in here. But from the family, the staff at the Den, and Dream Team Search, Rescue, and Recovery, we thank the public for all your help. The reason we're doing this in a video, this update, I had to make a choice today because we had so much going on. It'd take me a couple hours to sit down and type all this out, whereas doing it in a video, I can probably do it in about 10 minutes and get everything across to you. So that's why we've decided to do it in a video. I can also probably explain things a lot better if I do it in a video. So,
all set. Christine has them now.
Sorry, that's the Dream Team two-way radio. All right, so we're going to do this errors and all. There is no editing to this video. Pre-warning. So I figured at first I'll start with I'm here now in the Bailey area. I'm in one of the key spots. Sitting watching. The rest of the team is doing their thing, and you public are out in your spots. I wanted to start with explaining what fear flight mode is, because a lot of people don't understand what fear flight mode is and what's happened to Bailey right now. So fear flight mode in a dog is a panic state when they lose the security of their owner. And a dog needs their owner just like a child. They need direction. When they don't have the direction or the owner watching them just like a child, that's when they get into mischief, do wrong things. So it's just like a child. And when they lose that, they panic. And when the dog panics, it goes into what we call fear flight mode. And essentially, probably I'll explain this the easiest way I can for you to understand. What happens to their domestic side, everything about their family, everything that they know, it goes to their subconscious. So they can no longer think about it. And even when that dog runs into their own owners, they cannot recognize them at first sight. It takes things to trigger the domestic side and their subconscious. So the dog's going to run from its own owners as fast as it runs from any other human on first contact. We work with that. There's a way, techniques that we use so we can get the dog to trigger back. So usually the second or third time an owner goes down in front of their dog, they can trigger them back. They can start to trigger things for the dog to remember. So when the dog panics and their domestic side goes into their subconscious, their conscious brain goes in, it's spinning, and it goes into a panic state. And what it essentially does is it reverts the dog back to their natural wild state. So that dog now is no different than any other wildlife out there. It moves like other wildlife. It knows how to hunt. It knows how to protect itself. It knows what's bad. It knows what's good. And unfortunately, us humans hunt them. So they look at us and they say we're food to them, and an animal runs from us. Now, top of the chain coyotes in this area, they're pretty brazen. I've already been chased twice. I've almost not made it out of the bush twice. Coyotes in this area are pretty brazen. So anytime you encounter Bailey, he's going to turn and run from you the same as a squirrel, a raccoon, any other wildlife. he's going to turn and run from you because he thinks you want to eat him. He thinks you want to harm him. And you're a big towering predator. So there's no way for anybody to get near Bailey, because the minute you make a step towards him, Bailey's going to turn and he's going to run the opposite direction. And we've already had a car behind Bailey at one point, and the person's comment to us was, I was doing 40 kilometers an hour and he was pulling away from me. So Bailey can run. Bailey's 15 months old. He's a puppy. He's got lots of energy and he can run. So you're never going to be able to get Bailey. Further down, I'm going to explain to you exactly what to do if you're face to face with him. It would be your only chance of getting Bailey to come to you. Like I said, I'll explain that further down here. Excuse me looking down at these notes because I'm trying to remember everything. So ultimately right now, Bailey's domestic side is in his subconscious, and his conscious brain is no different than any other wildlife. So catching him is very hard, but their sense of smell is far superior to ours. So when we can get an owner near them, the dog's brain says, Bert, wait a minute. I know that smell for some reason. I just can't place it. And it makes the animal curious. And when a wild animal gets curious of us, they stalk us. So what we find is when we can get an owner near an animal, the animal may start following us. Or if we can get an owner to submit in front of an animal, the first time, like I said, they usually still run. But second and third time, sometimes they just stop and they sit there and they look. And once the animal does that to an owner, they're not running away, they're just sitting there, they're staring at them and they're watching them. We call that a 50% win, because now the animal's not running from you, it's curious. You're starting to tweak that subconscious, and the longer that animal sits there and watches that owner, the more you can tweak with certain techniques and stuff, and we teach the owners how to do that. We're also right behind them, coaching them all the way through it, and that way an owner can tweak the dog back enough to get it to come towards them. But only an owner has that sense. No one else does. So even for our response team officers or the Bailey team out here, for any of us to try to lure Bailey is going to be virtually impossible. Now, our team carries nets, trap poles, snappy poles. We have nets on poles, night vision, thermal cameras. So, we have an advantage, and we can kind of corner him and, kind of get him. But that's going to be the only other way. Or Bailey makes a mistake, and he goes in somebody's backyard, and they get that gate closed. It's going to be a mistake like that. But if we do get a chance to try to lure him with the owners, that's the chance we're desperately trying to get. Because we feel if we can get the owners in front of him, we can get Bailey to eventually come to them, maybe the second or third try. But thus, all of you spotters out there and all of you in positions out there, we're hoping he's going to come past one of you. You can say to us 100%, here's Bailey. We get there and we can get the owners in front of Bailey. That is the ultimate goal. Otherwise, hopefully Bailey makes a mistake and he goes in the wrong yard or he goes in the wrong spot. We can net it off or somehow other get him. But Bailey is in fear flight mode, and he essentially right now is no different than any other wildlife. And he is as afraid of you as that little squirrel is. So that's why he's running from everybody, and that's why he's doing what he's doing. I'll just explain who the core team is here that's running everything, because you see the Bring Bailey home page. You see the Dream Team's involved. So the core team running all this, of course, is Dream Team. We also have staff from the Den, Doggy Daycare, are very involved in helping us organize and run all of this. The family and a few key other volunteers are the core team that's trying to keep control over all of this. Communications, you've got to imagine, to most of us, these pets are like our children, and to the family, this is devastating. And family goes through a roller coaster of emotions. And in fact, Dream Team, when we get involved, we don't only try to help you find your dog and bring it home and do the best we can. We've been through this a boatload of times, and, you know, we know what the family's going to feel. Some of our officers on our response team were clients. Their dogs were missing. And after we helped them find their dogs and bring them home, they joined the response team or joined another aspect of Dream Team, because Dream Team there's lots of aspects to us. So communications are going to come from the team. You're very rarely going to hear from the family, but please, they have expressed to me how grateful they are to the help that the public has stepped in and done. Their faith in humanity restored. They think it's just absolutely amazing. But please understand the devastation that they must be going through at this time. So we have had signs of Bailey since day one. Day one, he was chased no more than 100 times. We have had signs of him all the way through, evidence that the team has collected, paw prints. There has been signs of Bailey all the way through this. We have what we call possible sightings, okay, and I'll explain that. When we say we have a sighting, that means that one of our response team officers, the core team, or the family, because most of the core team from the den know Bailey, have actually seen him. And we can say 100%, yep, it's Bailey. That's 100% sighting. A possible is when we get it reported to us, I saw something that could match him, right size, right color, but they can't tell us 100%, yep, I saw Bailey. That was it. So we call them possibles, okay? We have put our possibles on a map. The team has it, the core team has it, and the family has it. And it does show patterns. And thus, you'll see some of you people that are out here in positions are being moved, positions are being added. That's because of the map and the patterns and what we're seeing and the sightings that we're getting. So we're moving you around to see him. So when we move you and we put you in a spot, none of them are wasted spots. We think that every spot you have a chance to have Bailey walk past you. In those spots, sorry, I'm just trying to catch up here. So I will tell you, from those possible sightings, from one of our spotters last night, there was a possible sighting that by size of animal, movement, and direction the animal went to what we know to patterns, there's a very good chance that spotter saw Bailey last night. Now, when the team got into the area, we couldn't find Bailey. We couldn't find the animal that they had seen. But I will tell you, it was very close to the home area. That said, Bailey, we believe, Bailey is definitely running back and forth between the Burloak Great Lakes area and home. He has his set routes and patterns, and we are trying to figure them out. They have changed from day one. They're not the same route. Close, but not exactly. But there is also a possibility that Bailey's going back and forth between the den and home. And we're trying to sort through evidence now. In certain key areas, we ask people to stay away from them, like the den, home, if you know where home is. Certain key areas, we need them quiet for Bailey to be able to move. If you're there, you're a predator and you're moving, and Bailey is not going to present himself. I will tell you, we have cameras in places so we can watch. We have baited places with cameras so they can be watched. We have people going out to look for movement in key areas. So all of this stuff is being checked, but we can't tell you where the actual sightings are for Bailey's protection, and I'll explain why. Everybody has been great, and the help has been great, and you've been doing what we need you to do and following our instructions, and all of that works out fantastic. But then there's a few key people out there that they think that they know better. They think that they can just go, come here, pup, and get the dog to run towards them. They don't listen to what's being explained to them. They don't understand it. There's all different people all over the world, right? So what we have when we release the sightings is we have people that want to be the hero. And they will race to a sighting spot. They see the dog. They go, come here, pup, 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 pup. And they go after the dog. And ultimately what they end up doing is chasing the dog into traffic, and the dog gets hit and killed. We're working around very busy roads. We're working around a lot of public, a lot of traffic. And the last thing we want to see is, after all this time, that little trooper get hit and killed by a car because somebody didn't know how to properly apprehend him. There are times where our team will actually scare a dog and forget catching it. We'll catch it the next chance. Right now, we're trying to keep the dog alive, and we're trying to stop it from running into traffic, or there's times where our team will just sit back because the dog is too close to traffic. And we'll sit back and we'll try to follow the dog's movements and wait until a time when the dog is in a better place for us to try to apprehend it. So Bailey's safety is prominent here. We need to bring Bailey home safe. So it has to be done safely. So we ask that you understand that we'll try to be more forthcoming with information, but we have to hold some back for the safety of Bailey. So the movement, it's very important when we put you in a position that you're quiet, you don't move. The idea is that Bailey will think your vehicle is just like a shed with lights on, and he'll just walk by it. And it does happen to our response team officers. We'll be blacked out, we'll be watching an area, and the dog will walk right by our car. We'll just go like statues in our seats in the car, and the dog will walk right by. That's important to us because you're not going to be able to catch Bailey. So don't, try to interact with him. But the faster we can get the family there, the ones with the scent, the faster we can get them there, or we can get the equipment there to apprehend him, the better. Okay, so that's why the non-movement. All these people that are out driving the streets, you're passing us, we see you. That's great. Bailey's going to be used to traffic, but the owners have said to me, traffic on our streets picked up 100%. Well, that means Bailey now can't walk down that street. You people are far better off to watch from your homes. He's going to be going down a sidewalk. Dogs always take the path of least resistance. So he's going to go down a sidewalk, down a road, down a trail, down the edge of a field. He will only be going through the bush when he's forced to. So you could see him come right down the sidewalk past your house. But when the street picks up its traffic by 100%, well, now Bailey's movement's going to be 0%. So that's what we mean by the movement. Even if we haven't assigned you a spot, pick a spot. Just go pick a spot and park your car. Don't move around. Pick a spot and just park your car and just sit there. You never know. He may pass you, and if he does, just sit there and call the number, and we'll respond to you. So when you call the number, you get a response from Dream Team as well as the core team. So we'll deal with the response on what it is and what's happening at the time. So like we had one tonight. Coyote's got an animal. We'll have to go check it out, but it is far too unsafe for anybody to enter where the coyotes are right now. So that will have to be left till daylight. Do we believe it's Bailey? Absolutely not. But we're still going to go check. Coyotes are canine, just like a dog. They're both canine. So a coyote will eat a cat. It'll eat a raccoon. It'll eat a squirrel. It'll eat any other wildlife. But a coyote will not eat a dog. It's cannibalism. They're both canine. So what it is with the dogs is a dog isn't food to them. It's a threat because that dog bites and fights the same as the coyote does, and it can inflict the same wounds. So the coyotes don't really want to fight with them. So what happens when they encounter a dog is they will yip at it, they will chase it, and 9.9% of the time, or 9.9 out of 10, the dog's going to turn and run. If the dog turns and tries to defend itself, well, it's giving the coyotes no choice but to kill it. But most times it turns and runs. And what the coyotes will do is they will just match its speed. And they nip at the butt, and they nip at the back of the legs, and they match its speed chasing it out of their territory because they deem it a threat in their territory. Once the dog leaves their territory, the coyotes stop, turn around, and come back and let the dog just continue to run. That's what happens most times. If you follow us, Wilson, that we just picked up from the vets tonight from having his leg amputated after he was caught, he was attacked by the coyotes, and he has those bites in his bum and the backs of his legs. So Bailey would obviously be encountering them, and he would turn and he would run. So they're going to match his speed. So if that was Bailey tonight, we will find the evidence of it because they just kill him and leave him lying there. But we don't believe it is. We believe the coyotes got another animal because we don't believe Bailey's in that spot right now. So what to do if you see Bailey? You need to submit to him. And the human's way to submit to an animal is to drop straight to the ground. Laying down is the best. You can go down to your knees, you can go down cross-legged, but you drop straight to the ground. Direct eye contact in the wild is a threat, so you drop to the ground and you bow your head. And you're watching the dog with your peripheral vision, but the dog thinks you're not watching. In the human world, if I ignored you, you would take offense to it. But in the animal world, it means the exact 100% opposite. The more you ignore Bailey, the more comfortable you will make him feel. The more you ignore a wild animal, the more comfortable you make that wild animal feel. So you've got your head bowed, and the key is if you make one movement towards Bailey, he is turned around and gone the other direction, and he can outrun you by at least twice the speed. So you are never catching him. So even if you go like this and bring your hand up, a quick movement will turn Bailey around, fear flight mode will take over, and he will be gone the other direction at double your speed. So you just drop to the ground, bow your head, and it's all up to Bailey. It's all up to him to make every step towards you. If you have food, you could also just hold the food up, but you do not speak, you do not look at him, and you do not get off the ground. If he's not running from you, like I said, you've already 50% won. It's a matter of time, and Bailey decides that time, not you. If you get up and he is there in front of you, he will turn around and leave. So if you do encounter Bailey and you're face to face and you're going, oh my God, drop to the ground, laying down the best, bow your head, and just watch him with your peripheral vision. And if he comes to you, amazing. Get a hold of him, call the numbers, okay? But if he comes to you, take your time. You're on the ground, patience. Patience is a virtue, right? Patience. Take your time. Let him come right to you, because if he does come to you, it means he's chosen you to give up to. Let him come right to you before you reach out to get him. Bailey should be wearing his blue collar. You should have a collar to grab. But if you miss that collar, that's it. Bailey's not going to trust humans again for a while. So take your time if you're in that spot. But please, if you just see him, just call the numbers and just drop to the ground and don't do anything, okay? I just want to thank everybody again. The help has been amazing. We're all working so hard, and believe me, since this has started, I think I get 3 hours sleep a night, because obviously Dream Team works on other animals as well. And as executive director of Dream Team, there's not much sleep, but our goal is to bring Bailey home, and everybody is working so hard to do that, including you, public. And from Dream Team, the family, and the staff of the Den, we all just want to say thank you for all the help. And I hope that this video update gives you a bit more insight into the Bailey search, and gives you a bit more insight into what we're dealing with here and why it's so hard to catch Bailey. He is constantly on the move. Constantly. Only when he's sleeping does he stop. So he is constantly on the move, back and forth. So again, thank you for all the help.